Let's get right into it. Number 9. The addiction to escape. Numbing the pain. Your brain might be desperately trying to escape a pain you don't even realize is there. As trauma expert Dr. Gabor Mate says, the real question isn't why the addiction, but why the pain. Trauma can leave your brain feeling like a smoke alarm that won't stop beeping, and you'll do almost anything to hit the off switch. That off switch isn't just about substances. It's often found in everyday behaviors. The dopamine hit from social media likes, the mental checkout of binge watching, the temporary high from online shopping, even overworking until you're too exhausted to think. These actions provide a fleeting dose of dopamine, which acts as a mute button for a brain trying to escape old pain. The cruel twist is that the relief is temporary, but the coping mechanism creates new problems: debt, health issues, and ruined sleep, which in turn creates more stress. Your brain, seeking another escape, gets caught in a trap, a cycle of trauma, stress, and addiction. It's not a sign of weakness, but a flawed, desperate attempt by your brain to self-soothe. Number 8. The body keeps the score. When emotional pain becomes physical, do you suffer from mystery aches, digestive nightmares, or a bone-deep tiredness that no amount of sleep can fix? Your body might be telling a story your mind has forgotten. This is called somatization, when emotional pain masquerades as physical symptoms. In the wild, an animal will physically shake and tremble to release the immense energy of a life-or-death encounter. Humans, often taught to be strong, suppress this response, trapping that intense survival energy inside. Your brain may have moved on, but your body remains stuck in high alert mode. This isn't just stress. It's trapped energy manifesting as real physical problems. Chronic back pain with no clear cause, severe headaches when all tests are normal, or constant exhaustion that leaves your battery at 5%. Your body is screaming for attention, carrying a burden that has become unbearable. This pain is real, and it's your body's way of talking about past trauma. It's not betraying you, it's trying to heal. Number 7. The Fawn response. The perils of extreme niceness. Do you find it impossible to say no? Do you instinctively change your personality to match whoever you're with? This extreme people-pleasing might not be a personality trait, but a learned survival response. We all know fight, flight, or freeze, but there's a fourth F, fawn. For a child in an unsafe environment, keeping the adults happy isn't just nice, it's a survival strategy. They learn to be hyper-vigilant, constantly scanning others' moods and abandoning their own needs to maintain safety. As an adult, this old survival instinct can get stuck on. You might constantly apologize, feel responsible for others' emotions, and find your own boundaries have become blurry or non-existent. The superpower that helped you through a dangerous childhood becomes a liability in your adult life. If this sounds familiar, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you were a brilliant survivor. Recognizing this pattern as a fawn response is the first step toward reclaiming your own needs. Number 6. Relationship Groundhog Day, repeating painful patterns. Do you keep dating the same type of person, only to have the relationship crash and burn in the exact same way every time? This isn't just bad luck. It's a phenomenon called repetition compulsion. Your brain is trying to recreate and resolve past trauma. If you grew up with a critical parent, you might subconsciously seek out critical partners because, on some level, that dynamic feels familiar and normal. A healthy, supportive relationship can feel strangely foreign and uncomfortable. Your unconscious mind is hoping to win this time, to finally get the approval from this new person that you never got from the old one. But you're trying to win a rigged game. Your brain is wearing trauma goggles, filtering your reality so that you only see options that confirm its old, painful beliefs. You're not mastering the trauma, you're re-traumatizing yourself. Recognizing this pattern is the key to breaking the cycle and finally choosing a different ending. Number 5. The invisible electric fence, a hypersensitive defense system. Do you ever feel like you're surrounded by an invisible electric fence? Someone gets a little too close, says something slightly off, or looks at you funny, and you have a disproportionately huge reaction. This isn't you being overly dramatic. It's a leftover defense system from past trauma. If your personal space or safety was repeatedly violated, your brain learned that a normal fence wasn't enough. It built an electric one, designed to shock anything that even thinks about getting too close. This electric fence is hypersensitive. A slightly critical comment feels like a massive personal attack. An offer of advice is heard as, "Are you saying I'm stupid?" Because in the past, criticism was used as a weapon. This is your brain stuck in protection mode. Its alarm system so sensitive that it goes off for a leaf blowing past the window. The reaction feels 100% justified to you because, to your nervous system, the threat feels completely real. It's a brain working overtime to prevent past hurts from ever happening again. Number 4. The ghosts of betrayal. When trust is rewired. Do you dissect every text message, convinced that friends are secretly mad at you? Do you avoid intimacy, just waiting for the other shoe to drop? This could be your brain stuck on high alert from past betrayals. When people you were supposed to trust deeply hurt you, it fundamentally rewires your brain's trust system. Your brain, in its effort to keep you safe, builds a superpowered betrayal detector. The problem is, this detector becomes overly sensitive, like a smoke alarm that now screams every time you burn toast. Your brain starts seeing potential threats everywhere. You develop a negative bias, always expecting the worst. Kindness feels suspicious, like a trap. To cope, you might avoid relationships altogether, or you might try to overcompensate by controlling every detail. This isn't your brain trying to sabotage your happiness. It's using an outdated map to navigate a new world, screaming danger at every turn. Number 3. The brain's emergency brake, the freeze response. Have you ever felt completely stuck, limbs heavy, mind blank, unable to move or speak in a moment of high stress? That was your brain slamming on an ancient emergency brake, the freeze response. It's the instinct a deer follows in headlights. Millions of years ago, freezing could make a predator overlook you. If caught, going limp might trick it into thinking you were dead, providing a chance to escape. When your brain decides that fighting or running are not viable options, it can hit a system-wide pause. This can be terrifying, often accompanied by a feeling of being outside your body, dissociation. People often feel intense shame afterward, asking, "Why didn't I do something?" The answer is, your brain wouldn't let you. This response explains why someone might not fight back during an assault, or why a child might not tell anyone about abuse. They literally couldn't. It's not weakness. It's Stone Age survival software running in a modern world. Number 2. Emotional blindness. Alexithymia as a shield. Do you ever feel like your emotions are speaking a language you don't understand? Or do you feel blank when you should be feeling something big? This could be a condition called alexithymia, no words for emotions. For some, it's a profound coping mechanism learned in the face of overwhelming trauma. If feeling your emotions was once too dangerous, your brain might have learned to mute them all as an act of self-preservation. People with alexithymia don't feel nothing. They struggle to identify and label their feelings. Instead of saying, "I feel anxious," they might say, "My heart is racing," or "I have a knot in my stomach." They recognize the physical clues but can't connect them to an emotional label. This can make relationships incredibly difficult, as they may be perceived as cold or distant. It's not a personal failing, but a deeply ingrained protective shield built by a brain that once decided that numbness was safer than feeling. Number 1. Invisible trauma tattoos. The negative beliefs burned into your brain. Imagine something so terrible happens that your brain, in the chaos, decides it must be all your fault, or that the world is a fundamentally dangerous place. These conclusions are like invisible tattoos, strong, negative core beliefs burned into your psyche after a traumatic event. They aren't just bad moods, they become your subconscious rulebook for life, whispering things like, "I am worthless," "I am unlovable," or "I am broken forever." These beliefs are masters of disguise. They don't announce themselves as lies from your past. They feel like absolute truth and secretly drive your actions. If your tattoo says, "I am unlovable," you might sabotage good relationships because deep down, you believe you don't deserve them. Your brain then sees the failure as proof, saying, "See, I told you so," making the tattoo even darker. This vicious cycle is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The key is to recognize that these tattoos are not the truth. They are distorted stories your brain created to survive the unsurvivable, and they can be faded and rewritten. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.